Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe and turn on notification.
Elias Thorne did not enjoy parties. He tolerated them. To Elias, a senior forensic accountant for a top-tier consultancy firm, social gatherings were chaotic systems, filled with uncontrollable variables. He preferred ledgers. He preferred bank statements. He preferred the quiet, binary truth of numbers. Numbers did not lie. They merely waited to be arranged correctly. His wife, Sarah, was the variable he had spent 10 years studying. She was a public relations manager, a creature of chaos and charm. Elias viewed their marriage as a balanced equation. He provided the stability and the infrastructure. She provided the social capital and the warmth. For a decade, the books had balanced. Or so he assumed. The Grand Sovereign Hotel was excessive. The chandeliers were too large, threatening to crush the guests below. The music was a sonic assault. Elias stood near a pillar, nursing a club soda, observing the room. He was calculating the cost per head of the event. When he checked his watch, it was 10:30. At night, Sarah had been wearing a dress the color of oxblood. A garment Elias had paid for with his bonus check. It was tailored, expensive, and designed to draw the eye. She had been standing near the chocolate fountain with the marketing team from Vane and Associates, her employer. Elias scanned the room. He did this systematically, dividing the ballroom into a grid in his mind, and checking each sector. Sector A, the bar. Negative. Sector B, the dance floor. Negative. Sector C, the terrace doors. Negative. Sarah. Elias checked his internal chronograph. She had said she was going to the restroom. That was at 10:15. 15 minutes was within the standard deviation for a female restroom visit during a crowded event. 20 minutes was pushing the upper limit. 43 minutes passed. Elias did not panic. Panic was an inefficient expenditure of energy. Instead, his senses heightened. He felt the vibration of the bass in the floorboards. He felt the humidity of 500 breathing bodies. He began a patrol. He checked the lobby. He checked the smoking area outside. Despite knowing Sarah detested cigarettes, he walked past the reception desk. Nothing. He felt a tightness in his trapezius muscles. It was not fear, it was the sensation of a red flag appearing on an audit sheet. A discrepancy. A missing figure. Then, at 11:12, she reappeared. She came from the North Corridor, an area that led to the executive suites and conference rooms, not the restrooms. She was walking fast. The click-clack of her heels, uneven on the marble floor. She nearly tripped near a potted fern. Elias intercepted her. Before she could re-enter the main ballroom, he stepped into her path. A solid, immovable object. Elias, she breathed. Her voice was an octave higher than her baseline. Elias observed her. He did not look at her with the eyes of a husband, he looked at her with the eyes of an auditor. Finding a hole in the accounts. Exhibit A, her hair. When they left the house, it had been a complex, architectural updo. Now, the left side was loose. A tendril hanging over her ear. It looked as though fingers had raked through it, pulling the structure apart. Exhibit B, her lips. The lipstick, a shade called Crimson Night, was smeared slightly at the corner of her mouth. More telling, it was almost entirely gone from the center of her lips. Exhibit C, the olfactory evidence. As he stepped closer, blocking her path to the party, he smelled it. Beneath her floral perfume, there was a sharp, aggressive scent. Cedar wood. Musk. Expensive scotch. It was a male scent. Specifically, it was the scent of a man who cost money. Where have you been? Elias asked. His voice was flat, he was not asking for information. He was testing her ability to fabricate. Sarah touched her hair. A nervous tic he had catalogued years ago. I wasn't feeling well, she said. Her eyes darted to the left. A classic sign of cognitive construction. Lying. The champagne. It gave me a migraine. I went to the restroom and just sat there. Waiting for the nausea to pass. 43 minutes. In a restroom. Elias stated. It wasn't a question. I lost track of time, she laughed. A brittle, glass-breaking sound. I'm fine now. I need to go home. I'm exhausted. She tried to brush past him. But Elias caught her arm. Not roughly, but firmly. He looked at her neck. There was a faint redness there. A friction burn. Rapidly fading. But visible to the trained eye. Yes, Elias said. Let us go home. He drove. She feigned sleep in the passenger seat. Elias did not turn on the radio. He listened to the rhythm of her breathing. It was too shallow. She wasn't sleeping. She was waiting. Elias did not confront her. One does not present a preliminary report to the board, without supporting documentation. He needed the paper trail. Elias arrived at Sarah's office building 2 hours before the standard start of business. He knew the codes. Because Sarah often sent him to pick up files on weekends. He walked into the lobby. The silence of the building pressing against his eardrums. He was not going to Sarah's office. He stopped. At the security desk. Henry was the night watchman. He was 62. Diabetic. And deeply indebted to Elias, who had once spent a Sunday afternoon helping the older man restructure his crushing credit card debt, pro bono. Mr. Thorne, Henry said, looking up from his tablet. He looked tired. His uniform was slightly too large for him. Henry, Elias said. He placed a cup of black coffee on the counter. I require a favor. Henry looked at the coffee. Then at Elias's face. Elias knew his face was a mask. He had practiced it in the mirror. Neutral. Blank. Is everything all right? With Mrs. Thorne? Henry asked. There has been an incident, Elias said. I need to review the footage from the Grand Sovereign Hotel party. I know this building manages the security feed for the off-site events hosted by the partners. It was a gamble. But a calculated one. Vane and associates were paranoid about corporate espionage. They recorded everything. Even their parties. Henry hesitated. I could lose my job, Mr. Thorne. You won't, Elias said calmly. Because no one will know. I just need to verify a timeline. Someone claims they entered a room at a specific time. I need to prove they did not. Henry sighed. The weight of loyalty battling protocol. Loyalty. 1. He typed a command into the terminal and handed Elias a small, silver USB drive. I was reviewing the logs, Henry mumbled, looking down. I think you should take this. I didn't know how to tell you. Elias took the drive. The metal was cold. Thank you. Henry. Elias went to a coffee shop 3 blocks away. He sat in a corner booth, facing the wall. And inserted the drive into his laptop. He opened the folder marked Event. Deck. 12. He found the file time-stamped 22:20. The video was black and white. Grainy. But sufficient. It showed the hallway of the 12th floor of the hotel. The executive wing. It was empty. At 22:26. 2 figures entered the frame. Subject A. Sarah Thorne. Subject B. Marcus Vane. Senior partner. Elias's wife's boss. A man with a jawline bought by surgery. And a suit that cost more than Elias's car. They were not talking. Vane had his hand on the small of Sarah's back. It was not a guiding hand. It was a claiming hand. He steered her toward a meeting room. He swiped a key card. They entered. The door closed. Elias stared at the time code. 22:27. 22:30. 22:45. Elias watched the closed door on his screen. Nothing moved. The hallway was empty. Inside that room, his marriage was being dismantled. But on the screen, it was just a static image of a door. At 23:05. The door opened. Marcus Vane exited first. He adjusted his tie. He smoothed the front of his trousers. He looked down the hallway, checked his watch. And then smiled. It was a smile of satiety. Sarah followed 10 seconds later. She was holding her shoes. She leaned against the doorframe for a second, putting them on. She ran her hands through her hair, trying to fix the mess Vane had made. She looked frantic. She looked guilty. Elias paused the video. He zoomed in on her face. He did not feel heartbreak. Heartbreak was a poetic concept, useless in the face of raw data. He felt a cold, hard solidification in his gut. It was the feeling of a balance sheet that finally made sense. After hours of searching for the error. 38 minutes. That was the value of his marriage. 38 minutes. In a hotel conference room. Elias closed the laptop. He did not cry. He took a sip of his coffee. It was cold. Elias returned home. Sarah was in the kitchen, making toast. She looked hungover. She wore a silk robe he had bought her for their 5th anniversary. "Morning," she said, attempting a cheerful tone. "Where were you?" "Work," Elias said. "An emergency audit." He sat at the kitchen table. He watched her butter the toast. He watched the knife scrape against the bread. Scrape. 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 He took out his phone and dialed Henry again. He kept the phone under the table. "Henry," he whispered. "I need the weekend entry logs for the office. Going back 6 months. Mr. Thorne. Send them to my encrypted email. Now." He hung up. He watched Sarah pour orange juice. "You seem tense," Sarah said, bringing him a glass. She touched his shoulder. Her hand felt like a branding iron. Yet, Elias did not flinch. He remained absolute zero. "I am processing data," he said. The email arrived 2 minutes later. Elias opened the spreadsheet on his phone. He filtered the data. User, S. Thorne. Day, Saturday. The results. Populated the screen. July 07. In 9. Out 11:30. July 14. In 9:15. Out 11:45. July 21. In 9. Out 12. August 04. In 9:30. Out 11:30. Every Saturday. For 5 months. Elias recalled those Saturdays. Sarah had a routine. Pilates, she would say. Then brunch with the girls. Or sometimes, "I just need to stop by the office to sign some papers. Then I'll go shopping." She wasn't doing Pilates. She wasn't shopping. She was clocking in hours. With Marcus Vane. Elias cross-referenced the logs with Marcus Vane's entry times. They matched perfectly. Vane usually arrived 10 minutes before her. And left 10 minutes after. Operational security. They were careful. But not careful enough. For a forensic accountant. Elias looked at his wife. She was scrolling through Instagram, sipping her juice, looking entirely unburdened. The audacity of her normalcy. And he was staggering. She was a fraud. A shell company. She looked like a wife. Acted like a wife. But the assets had been stripped long ago. He felt a surge of something hot behind his eyes. But he suppressed it. Rage was a variable that clouded judgment. He needed to be cold. He needed to be precise. He stood up. "Where are you going?" Sarah asked. "I have to go out," Elias said. "I have a meeting." "On a Sunday?" "Yes," Elias said. "A very important stakeholder meeting." He walked out the door. He didn't go to the office. He went to the public library. He needed a printer. He printed the logs. He printed screenshots of the video. He printed bank statements he had accessed from their joint account, highlighting withdrawals that coincided with the Saturday meetings. Hotel charges. Expensive lunches that she claimed were client expenses. He compiled the dossier. It was 2 inches thick. He placed it in a black binder. He labeled it, File 09. Elias had researched Dr. Elena Rostova. She was a cardiovascular surgeon. She was brilliant. Intimidating. And rich. She was Marcus Vane's wife. He had emailed her via her hospital's secure server. Subject line, urgent financial discrepancy. Involving Marcus Vane. She arrived precisely on time. She was a woman of sharp angles and steel gray hair. She wore a coat that cost more than Elias's annual mortgage payments. She sat down, checked her watch, and looked at him. "Mr. Thorne," she said. Her voice was like a scalpel. "You have 5 minutes. If this is a blackmail attempt, I will have you arrested before your coffee cools." "It is not blackmail," Elias said. "It is a disclosure of liabilities." He slid the black binder across the table. Dr. Rostova opened it. She put on a pair of reading glasses, she flipped through the pages. She did not gasp. She did not cry. She was a surgeon. She was used to seeing blood. She looked at the logs. She looked at the grainy photos of her husband leading Sarah into the conference room. She looked at the bank statements showing charges at the Le Rêve boutique hotel on days when Marcus was supposed to be at golf tournaments. She closed the binder. She took off her glasses. Her hand shook. Just once. A tiny tremor she quickly suppressed. How long? She asked. 5 months confirmed, Elias said. Possibly longer. The data only goes back to July. And the woman? My wife. Dr. Rostova nodded slowly. I see. And what is your objective? Mr. Thorne? Total liquidation, Elias said. I am ending my partnership. I assumed you might want to review your own contract. A small, cruel smile touched Dr. Rostova's lips. Marcus thinks he is the clever one. He thinks I am too busy saving lives to notice he is spending our money on recreational activities. She tapped the binder. You have done thorough work, Mr. Thorne. I am an accountant, Elias said. I do not leave loose ends. Neither do I, she said. Thank you. She took the binder and left. Elias watched her go. He knew what would happen. A surgeon knows how to cut to cause the most damage. Or the most healing. In this case, it would be amputation. That evening, Elias went home. He connected his laptop to the 60-inch television in the living room. He sat on the sofa. And waited. Sarah came home at 6:30. She was humming, she carried grocery bags. Elias, she called out. Why are the lights off? Come in, Sarah, Elias said. She walked into the living room, dropping the bags. What's going on? Elias pressed the spacebar. The TV screen illuminated the dark room. The black and white footage played. The hallway. The two figures. The door. Closing. Sarah froze. The color drained from her face so fast it looked like a special effect. She dropped her purse. Elias, she whispered. 38 minutes, Elias said. His voice was conversational, devoid of anger. Saturday, July 7th, Saturday, July 14th, Saturday, July 21st. He recited the dates. Like a litany. Elias, stop, she sobbed, falling to her knees. Please. It was. I was drunk. It was a mistake. The alcohol content of your blood on July 7th is irrelevant to the decision you made on August 4th, Elias said. It was not a mistake, Sarah. It was a routine. It was a schedule. I love you, she wailed. He meant nothing. I was weak. Elias looked at her. He tilted his head. Love is a verb, Sarah. It requires action. Your actions demonstrate a deficit of love. You are a liability I can no longer afford. She tried to crawl toward him. Please. We can fix this. Counseling. Anything. Elias stood up. He looked down at her. Do not touch me. The locks will be changed by noon tomorrow. You have until then to remove your personal effects. I have moved half of the joint savings into a secure account to cover the mortgage and legal fees. The rest is yours to squander. He walked past her. Into the guest bedroom. And locked the door. He put in earplugs. So he wouldn't have to hear her weeping. It was just noise. Meaningless. Noise. The destruction was efficient. Dr. Rostova did not just file for divorce. She went to war. She had a prenuptial agreement that Marcus had signed 20 years ago, thinking he would never be caught. It had an infidelity clause. A brutal one. She took the house in the Hamptons. She took the apartment in the city. She took full custody of their 2 teenage sons, who were old enough to read the text messages their mother showed them. Messages Marcus had sent Sarah, mocking his boring family. But the real blow came from human resources. Elias had sent an anonymous package to the HR director of Vane and Associates. It contained the entry logs. And the conflict of interest policy, highlighted in yellow. Brett Holloway, a regional manager and rival of Marcus, took the information and ran with it. The board of directors did not like scandals. They did not like senior partners sleeping with subordinates and using company funds for hotels. Marcus Vane was given a choice: resign immediately and keep his pension, or be fired for cause and lose everything. He resigned. The whispers in the industry were toxic. He was radioactive. Rachel, Sarah, faced a different fate. She wasn't fired. That would be too easy. She was transferred. The company moved her to the archives division in a satellite office in New Jersey. A 2-hour commute. No client meetings. No parties. Just dusty boxes. And fluorescent lights. Her colleagues. The ones she had laughed with, the ones she had mocked Elias to, now avoided her. She was the woman who slept with the boss. She was the pariah. The divorce proceedings were short. Elias had the evidence. Sarah's lawyer advised her to settle. She signed the papers with a shaking hand. She got nothing of value. Elias kept the apartment. He kept the investments. He kept his dignity. Sarah moved into a studio apartment above a laundromat. She texted Elias once. Late at night. I miss you. I'm so sorry. Elias looked at the text. He deleted it. He blocked the number. He went back to reading his book. Elias had been promoted. He was now the director of risk management. He wore better suits. He had grown a beard. Neat and trimmed. Which Sarah had always hated. He liked it. He was in the produce section. Selecting gala apples. He squeezed each one. Checking for bruises. Quality control. He felt eyes on him. He turned. Standing near the bananas was Sarah. She looked diminished. That was the only word for it. She had lost weight, but not in a healthy way. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. Unwashed. She wore a gray sweatshirt and yoga pants that had seen better days. Her basket contained generic cereal, a carton of milk, and a bottle of cheap wine. She looked at Elias. Her eyes widened. She took a step forward, her mouth opening. Elias. She whispered. She looked like she was waiting for him to save her. She looked like she expected the narrative to bend. For the hero to forgive the sinner. Elias looked at her. He really looked at her. He remembered the smell of cedar on her dress. He remembered the 38 minutes. He remembered the lies on Saturday mornings. But he didn't feel anger. He didn't feel the need to shout at her or humiliate her. He felt nothing. It was a profound, silent emptiness. Where a person used to be. She was just a stranger in a supermarket. A variable that had been removed from his equation. He didn't speak. He didn't nod. He simply turned his back to her. Placed the bag of apples in his cart. And walked toward the checkout. His phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a text from Henry, the security guard, with whom Elias still had lunch once a month. Did you see the news? Marcus Vane arrested for DUI last night. Hit a parked car. 3rd offense. He's looking at jail time. Elias read the text as he waited in line. He typed a reply. Noted. Thanks. Henry. He paid for his groceries. He walked out into the cool autumn air. The city was gray and loud and chaotic. But Elias Thorne felt perfectly calm. The audit was complete. The books were closed. He was in the black. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next.